This year, I had a chance to take my kids on their first backpacking trip in the High Sierra. It was a journey full of new experiences, including their first night sleeping under the stars. This is a box to commemorate that journey. I'm using figured maple, walnut, mahogany, and rosewood. After preparing my stock, I started by gluing pieces together that would become the sides and lid of the box. I decided to glue up and shape the lid pieces while they're still attached to the larger maple that will become the sides, since it's easier to make intricate cuts on a bigger workpiece. I'll cut them apart later. I designed the box with a 45-degree bevel around the top edge of its lid. With most of the shaping done on the lid pieces, I can cut them away from the maple sides. I used my Glowforge Pro to laser cut a mountainscape design into my 1/8 inch thick shop-made veneers. My Glowforge has changed my entire approach to woodworking. And if you're interested, I still have an affiliate link that'll save you up to $500 that I'll post in the video description. These mountain designs will become the sides of my box. So I glued them on to the larger maple pieces and then secured them with tiny pin nails so they wouldn't slide around in the vacuum press. After about an hour, the box sides come out of the vacuum press. The pin nails did their job perfectly, but now I'll need to cut them away on the miter saw. And then I clean it all up on the drum sander. This video is sponsored by Bamboo Lab, who sent me the X1 Carbon 3D printer with AMS, Automatic Material System. Easily the best 3D printer on the market. I've always been a fan of combining digital fabrication with traditional woodworking, and the X1 Carbon is the perfect addition to my shop. It's fast, easy to use, and the results are incredible. Whenever I need something, I can just make it jump off the screen and into my hands. It blew me away how easy it was to set up and use right out of the box. Everything is automatic, from bed leveling to RFID filament detection, temperature calibration, and even pausing for interruptions like filament changes or power outages. The built-in camera lets you monitor prints in real time from your smartphone or computer, and even records time-lapse videos for you. With the holidays coming up, I printed this convenient wrapping paper slicer. I used glow-in-the-dark filament to make a modern clock. I also made a custom router plate to make my palm router compatible with my Festool track, and now I have a track router. I printed all of these from the Bamboo Handy mobile app, where you can browse thousands of designs and print them for free with just a couple clicks. But what I was really looking forward to was designing my own projects. So I made some drawings in SketchUp and then imported them into the desktop application Bamboo Studio, giving me full control over the settings. And after a few prototypes, I created custom chuck jaws for my lathe and printed the final version in carbon fiber for strength and durability. I'm always looking for ways to organize my shop, and I wanted to get my camera battery charger off the countertop. So I designed this little custom shelf, and now I can mount it to the wall where it's out of the way. Let's talk about the AMS, Automatic Material System. It lets you load up to 4 materials at once, opening up endless possibilities. I love using it for breakaway support materials that pop off the main part, not to mention the ability to print multiple colors at the same time. Whether I'm printing household items, fun designs for the kids, or custom tools, the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon with AMS is versatile, user-friendly, and cost-effective. It makes 3D printing easier than I ever imagined. To bring one into your shop, click the link in the video description, and you can thank me later. This box is an octagon, so I cut the mountainscape sides into 8 sections. And then set my table saw to 22.5 degrees for the octagonal miters. Once I finished cutting the miters into the side pieces, it was time to do the same for the lid pieces. It's always exciting to get a glimpse of the final shape during the dry fit. I sketched out a pattern of stars that I thought would look good for the sides, and then grabbed a few scraps of plywood to build a jig for drilling the holes. Because the mountains were a repeating pattern around the sides of the box, I wanted to make sure the location of the stars was also consistent. The idea was to drill holes for 2 different sizes of brass rod that would become the stars. After drilling holes in one of the side pieces, I would take it out of the jig and swap it for the next one to continue the process. With the holes in the side pieces done, I modified the jig to do the same process in the lid pieces. This is the brass rod I'm using for the stars, in both 16th inch and 8th inch diameter. Each of these tiny brass stars gets cut, glued, and tapped into place by hand. I glued a piece of maple veneer to some high-quality birch plywood for the bottom of the box. I measure the thickness of the box bottom to cut slots in the side pieces that the bottom will fit into. best time to sand the interior faces of a box is before the glue up. And I like to protect those freshly sanded faces from glue squeeze out with lots of masking tape. And finally, the moment when it becomes a box. I use packing tape to tightly hold everything together, and a few extra clamps just for alignment. After an hour or so, I get to peel off the tape and reveal my box. The process for gluing up the lid pieces is similar to the sides, but I like doing that on top of the actual box so I know everything's in perfect alignment. A sheet of sandpaper glued to a piece of plywood is the best way I know to flatten box tops and lids so they fit together tightly. The final step to make the lid and box fit together was cutting a rabbet on the router table around the top edge of the box. I had some beautiful English sycamore veneer that I decided to use on the underside of the lid. So I loaded it into my Glowforge Pro to cut this pattern. I laid down some self-adhesive shelf lining paper with the sticky side up and secured it to my workbench. And then start laying out the pattern. I glue another octagon-shaped piece of 1/4-inch plywood to the veneer to form the middle part of the box top. And once again, the piece goes into my vacuum press until the glue cures. I very carefully sand the burn marks and all of the interior faces before the next glue up. A little bit of weight is all it takes to clamp these pieces together. I'm using more rosewood for the top of the box, and laser cutting the same spiral pattern as the underside of the lid. Once I settled on a design for the stars on the top of the box, I realized it would be easier to laser cut the holes rather than using a drill press jig like I did for the sides. needed a more efficient way to cut the brass rod, because the final design meant I needed a lot more brass stars. In fact, I needed exactly 1,000 tiny brass stars. Here we go. Once the brass stars and rosewood top piece were sanded flat, I was able to glue them to the lid. The final glue-up was done, but everything on the exterior surfaces was still in its rough form and ready to be shaped and sanded smooth. I drilled holes and added small brass dots to the inside of the box and lid as a reference for the perfect alignment. I step up through the grits of 220, 320, and 400 grit sandpaper on my random orbit sander. But even 400 grit sandpaper was leaving visible scratch marks in the hard rosewood and brass. So I picked up some 800, 1500, and 3000 grit sandpaper to polish the surface to a mirror finish. I finished the wood with a thin coat of wipe-on polyurethane. Then, after sanding lightly, I hand polished it with paste wax for a silky smooth feel. Next, I prepared a paper template to cut the box liner. I'm using full grain leather with the soft suede side up to line the box. When I spend this much time on a project, the question is always, do I sell it or do I keep it? So of course, I had to make two. I design, build, film, edit, and produce each of these projects and videos myself in a one-car garage woodshop. Most of my projects average 3 to 6 months to create while balancing family life and a career as a full-time firefighter. If you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. I'm truly driven by the creative process and the enjoyment I get out of sharing it with you. Subscribing to my channel is the best way to make sure you don't miss my next project. And interactions like follows, likes, and comments really do help my channel grow. I respond as much as possible, but at a minimum, I read every single comment. As you know, I create a new t-shirt for each of my favorite projects, and the new design is available now. A huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, including my top members listed here. I'll post links for everything in the video description, and you can also find it on my website, weberwoodshop.com. See you later.